Welcome to Innovation Dialogue. I'm DingDing. Today we are with Christian Malesic. Who is him? He's a new CEO and the president of Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, Silicon Valley Central Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Christian.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's exciting to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. I heard that you are from far away Philadelphia.
Philadelphia area, actually Pennsylvania, yeah. So it was a great trip across country to come back to California. This is the fourth time I've been here, and hopefully the longest time that I will have lived here.
Wow, only fourth time being here. So why you choose here?
Why did I choose here? Because this is Silicon Valley, and there's amazing things that have happened here. We can tell the story of the modern era, the technological age, if you will, in tie-in Silicon Valley. But there's challenges here. And the board of the directors was really looking for a CEO that can help them work through those challenges. And what a great opportunity.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for travel all the way here. But when people talking about Silicon Valley, they kind of imagine high tech and so many business. But when you are here, what did you see?
Well, what I see is a bunch of Americans. I see people that are trying to make their way. People, obviously, I'm walking the streets and living in the community. I have an apartment locally. I'm grocery shopping last night and enjoying the restaurants with my kids as best as I can, takeout. So I'm in the community. So I see an American city. But what's different about Silicon Valley is we tend to attract those that think a little bit different maybe than the rest of America, and certainly different than the rest of the world. We attract entrepreneurs, and that's what makes this area really exciting.
Yes, well, so many our business owners and in the business community, they want to know about you because, Silicon Valley Central Chamber of Commerce has been here for a very long time. Yeah. We have a bunch of very good people, our members here. We work together and we honor and help each other. So they want to know who you are. Can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
A brief introduction about myself. Well, I think to use a Silicon Valley term that goes back to the 1970s, Steve Wozniak, as he was forming this little company that we've all heard of called Apple Computers with Steve Jobs, he coined the term WYSIWYG, and that stands for what you see is what you get. And it's the letters of the first word, an acronym. And that's me. This is me. This is who I am. So if you like it, yeah, great. If you don't like it, I'll work a little harder. But this is who I am. I'm very excitable. I'm a passionate person. But I also can get very serious. My first degree is in electrical engineering, and I've been in business for quite some time. I have 4 different degrees, and I love the numbers, I love studying, and the things that I love the most is really working with the business community to advance the community. So maybe we should start there. I grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is a small city. San Jose is huge compared to Harrisburg. We're not even going to talk about San Francisco. So Harrisburg is a city between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. And back at the beginning of the country in the 1700s, when they were trying to decide where the capital of Pennsylvania were, the two were fighting over it. So they decided, well, let's put it in the middle. And there was nothing in the middle. It was farmland. But there was this man named John Harris who was running a ferry across the river, the Susquehanna River, named after the Susquehanna Indians. And they said, well, let's put it in Harristown, which became Harrisburg. And that grew up to the capital, and it's a small city now, and that's where I'm from. So I grew up there. I did college in Pennsylvania. And I went into the United States Air Force. So I was in the Air Force for almost 6 years as an Air Force officer. From there, I got into business, starting my own company. And I did that for almost 20 years, about 16 years.
What's the company?
For profit. The company was called CM Squared. My initials, Christian Malesic, CM Squared, the mathematical symbol, because I was in business with my brother. And his name is Craig Malesic, so our initials are the same.
Yes.
2 electrical engineers. He went to Drexel University. I went to Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. And we started an engineering and lighting design company. And what would happen is we would work with the customer for weeks or months, and we'd design the lighting like in your beautiful studio, or landscape lighting at someone's house, or maybe conference lighting in a fancy conference room, or whatever it may be, restaurant lighting. And we'd get all done after working several meetings and several days with the customer, and we'd slide the plans across the table, and you know what they'd say? Do it.
Oh.
And we say, well, no, we don't do it. We're the engineers. We're done now. We did it. So we started finding that they wanted people to help install. They wanted electricians. So we started hiring electricians, and that side of the business grew. And from there, I got into this line of work. I got into not-for-profit work.
Wow, that's so wonderful. So you got a really rich experience in the business. And you were in the Air Force. Well, thank you for your great service.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
We're so honored to have you as a veteran. And what's that experience help you to become who you are today?
Oh, how much time do we have today? That could take me all day.
Yeah.
My start in the Air Force was right here in California, just a little bit south of us at Vandenberg Air Force Base. That's where I did my boot camp. So that was my first experience to California and my first experience with the Air Force.
Welcome back.
Right.
Yeah.
So, boy, what do you learn in the Air Force? Well, I was an Air Force officer, so we're learning how to manage people, projects, and money. And am I talking about the Air Force, or am I talking about business?
Combine them. Yeah.
Right.
Management, people and money. That's business actually.
Right. So it translates so nicely. Now, obviously, the Air Force is about the flying and fighting mission. I started my career in nuclear weapons, so top secret work. Yeah. Wow. And so it's a different kind of mission, but in the end, it's about managing people, projects, and money, and that's why it translates so nicely to the business world.
So what's the difference by managing people at the Air Force and also in the chamber?
Well, the difference is if the troops don't listen to me, they go to jail.
Wow, you don't want to do that, right?
No. We always kid around that they end up making big rocks into little rocks. So that's not 100% true, but it's pretty. I mean, if you don't listen in the military, you get court-martialed, and that could mean that you get thrown in military jail, or you get kicked out of the service, bad conduct discharge or such. So. I never had that. I never had anyone that didn't listen to you. When you're the officer, they, aye, sir, and they listen. In business, it's more about persuasion. It's more about your personality. And it doesn't matter how good your persuasion is, how big your smile is, or how neat your suit is. It comes down to what's on the page, what's on the paper. You have to have good ideas. And those ideas have to make sense for business to be profitable or to help other businesses to grow. So that's the big difference.
You sound like a businessman right now. So, I probably, taking the chamber as a business or a nonprofit, and how are you going to, what's your great ideas for our chamber?
Yeah, well, right now, I think the magic word is recovery. We not only need to recover out of this pandemic, but maybe even more importantly, we need to help, especially the small businesses, to recover. A number of businesses are going out of business, or they've dipped into their savings. These are probably the hardest times that they've ever had, maybe with the exception of their first couple of months or even year in business, when things are always difficult for a startup. But for some, it's even harder than that. The difference is, at least when you're a startup, you're trying it and you think you can do it, but maybe you have a backup plan if it doesn't work. These businesses have been in business for generations for some of them, or people's whole lifetimes. And everything was going right. They made all the right business decisions. And then pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Like my friend, they owns a China steak restaurant. That's my favorite restaurant. During the pandemic, it's really a struggle for them. But like what you're saying, recovery. But how? Because for safety reasons, we are not allowed. And how can we do that?
Yeah, and this is the real challenge right now. I mean, what do we do between now and when we come out of the pandemic and we can start meeting in person and having events and having education? What the Silicon Valley Central Chamber does best is we do three things. We do advocate, we work with City Hall and governments, we do educate, and we do connect. And connect is really about what we're doing today. It's connect works best, not when we're in front of a video screen. And I realize we're in Silicon Valley, and we feel very comfortable with tech in our hands and in
No,
front
no,
of
we
the
have to. That's because we have to.
Because we have
it's not. It's not we like.
That's exactly right.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But we need to get back to a point where business can do business face to face. Because as you know, we don't buy because we like a business. We buy from people.
Yes.
We're in the people business.
Yes.
You of all people know that.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the community.
That's right.
People build up the trust, so people work together and help each other. Yeah. So when you are here, just 2 or 3 weeks, right? So what do you see the opportunities for our chamber?
Well, we have tremendous opportunity. So, our job as a chamber is to help businesses. And so I have the best job in the world. I love my job. I get out of bed every day and I'm excited to go to work because my job is to help other businesses.
You sound like an entrepreneur, a startup company.
I've done some of that myself,
Yes.
and maybe not as successful as some, but more successful than others. And I've had such a good run that I like giving that back to other businesses and help to them to do way better than I ever did.
So what excited you? You said you got up every day, get excited. So what excited you most?
I think it's the challenges that we have and the opportunity. With challenge comes opportunity. So with all of the problems that we're having in Silicon Valley, that's happening in the world, but it's hit us a little bit harder. Santa Clara and the state of California have had stronger lockdowns than almost any other state in the union, and it's been very challenging coming from the government. Now, I don't want to make this about politics. It is about health, and the government various governments are trying to do the best they can do, but it's time to get back to work. And to get back to work, we need to start meeting in person and being able to have face-to-face business again.
Start the meeting in person. I think there are tons of things for you to meet. I don't think you have enough time when we start a meeting in person. But what's your priority?
Well, the priority is to do everything we can about communication with our members at this point so that we can help them get through hopefully the next couple of months. None of us really know when this is going to change back to normal, but we hope it's going to be only another couple of months. Some are saying it's going to be another year or two. I'm more positive. I'm more optimistic. We need to help them get through this. And again, we do that through communication and networking. But more importantly, I hope, is that we need to be ready to open up. And I'll tell you what, when we are able to open and when we believe, our board of directors believes it's safe and the government tells us it's okay, the Silicon Valley Central Chamber is going to be the first one getting back to having events and doing things in person again. Because, again, we're here about business. We want to help them.
Well, sounds so exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. And we'll be the first one to start all the kinds of events. But what if the pandemic still lasts longer and we are not able to open? Well, I'm sorry that you come to take this position in such a pandemic. What's your plan if we cannot open?
Right, and that's challenging, and we all do the best we can in that situation. Our plan is to try and do more virtually than we've done in the past. Again, focusing more on the education and the communication or the networking. We need to bring businesses together, and we need to help them get through it. Part of the challenges of the pandemic is every day the story has changed, right? First, we weren't supposed to wear any masks a year ago, and then we were supposed to wear a mask. Now we're talking about wearing 2 masks. What's the right answer, right? First, we weren't supposed to get the vaccine. Now we're supposed to get it. We're waiting on it, for the regular people, not just the politicians and special groups, to be able to go to the stadium and start getting vaccines. So the news is changing day to day, and that's part of where the chamber can be to help with that, to help give that information to the business owners so they don't need to look everywhere and find out what's going on. They can look in one place, and we can help them succeed and get through that. So it's about training and education and providing news. That's what we can do in the short term, and in the end, we can just keep on fighting for the businesses so that they can get back.
Wow, that sounds really good. I thank you for thought about. It's very thoughtful. I know that you were a elected official. You were a school board for 4.5 years, right?
I was, yes.
Yes. So, well, you are here, and what will that bring to our chamber and to this
Well,
community?
you know, that was an interesting experience and an interesting time. I was president of the school board too. And the word that the newspapers used was contentious. The most contentious, that means this, right? The most contentious school board in the whole state of Pennsylvania. And I have to tell you, it was true. We fought all the time. Now, we fought professionally. We didn't make it personal. But we were at each other all the time. What do you learn from an experience like that? Well, you end up learning how to get along with people that you have completely different ideas. You face the world from exactly the opposite point of view. And we have some of those challenges in our very own city council, no matter which of the local cities in Silicon Valley we're talking about. Some of those challenges with the various mayors in city council. Certainly there's a motion afoot with the governor and a recall motion. And so there's a lot going on the political front. So having that political experience, and I'm not interested in being a politician anymore.
Why?
Well, I've had my time doing
Okay.
that, right?
Yeah.
Now I advocate for business. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. If you're about business, you're our friend.
If you're about business, you're a friend.
That's
so
right.
for our chamber's future, there are lots of things to do. But for you, what is the most challenge? What is the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is that our chamber was a lot bigger, and it's shrinking. And every business owner that's watching this or listening to this knows that feeling. There's a few businesses that are doing better in this time, but most are not. And so they understand what it's like to shrink, and you already had tight margins. You already weren't making that much profit to begin with. And that's happened to our chamber.
We are shrinking. Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. So in addition to all the things we've been talking about as a Chamber of Commerce, we are a business too, and we have to pay our bills and pay our employees. And we've shrunk quite a bit. And so I have to roll up my sleeves and really get to work to figure out how we can use the money the best we possibly can. When businesses pay their dues to the chamber, they expect that the chamber to really be of value to them. So we can't raise dues just because times are tight. Members can't afford that. So we have to really look at our budgets and cut wherever we can and come up with other income streams just like businesses do.
So where are you going to spend the money?
Well, I think a better way to say it is where we're going to save the money.
Okay,
Yeah.
how are you going to save the
Right,
money?
right.
Yes.
So we can't spend like we used to. We were a much bigger chamber. We had a lot more members, and we're just not there anymore. So it's more about where are we going to save the money. And I think you do that austerity the way any business does it. You look at all of the products and the services and the partners that you have, and you decide, you make the hard decision. It's never easy. This one needs to go and that one can stay. This one's only half of what we used to do. They're the tough decisions that we got to make, and I've already been doing that for 2 weeks now.
I know that our chamber is a nonprofit, but you still need to have a business model. So
You do
where,
need to
what are the major income for our chamber?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you mentioned that. So nonprofit is a tax status. It doesn't mean we're not allowed to make a profit, and it doesn't mean we're not supposed to make a profit. It means that we don't pay tax on our profit. That's all it means. The income stream, it basically breaks down into two, which is pretty simple. Dues revenue, and then what they call non-dues revenue. So it's pretty simple.
Membership and events, right?
Membership and events. And guess what? We're not having any of
Yeah.
events.
We don't have events right now.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
We used to have one of the biggest galas and award ceremonies in all of Silicon Valley, attracting hundreds of people. Everybody had fun. They dressed up beautifully, and we had a great night together. We rose a glass and ate great food, and we haven't done that. So we want to bring that back, and we want to bring it back stronger than ever, but we got to wait until it's safe to do that.
Yeah. Well, when the pandemic is over, and what is the first event you want to do?
Oh, it depends on when it's over, doesn't it? The first couple events we will do will be the smaller events that we can start rolling out very quickly. The problem with something like the awards gala that we talked about is it takes a lot of planning. It's a big event, a lot of promotion, so people know about it. People will come if they know about it, but we have to advertise. What's easier with some of the smaller events is we can get that out by social media, we can make a couple of phone calls, put it on our website, and we can have that. So I'm sure the first couple events will be the smaller kind of networking, having coffee, or maybe having a glass of wine in the evening together, and getting back to see all of our friends. I don't know if we'll be able to give hugs quite yet, right out of the pandemic, but we'll at least be able to look each other face to face and see each other again for the first time in a while.
Yes, exactly. Now, before we finish our show, and the last question is, during the pandemic, because you used to be so active, in your community and doing so well for the chamber, but this pandemic really changed our, I would say lifestyle of many of the business. Maybe 30% is already out of business. So during this pandemic, what have you been changed? I mean, the mindset or the way of see things.
Well, that's a good question. Personally, I've gotten a lot better at virtual. I think I know all of the virtual platforms, and I feel very comfortable now. I had done virtual meetings before, but they were rare in my world. We did everything in person. All of our meetings were always in person in the chamber, so I've gotten really good at that. I've had to kind of take what's old is new again, or what's new is old again. One of the tools that I've been using quite a bit is the telephone. And in the last maybe 10 years, we still use the telephone, but we more use email, right? We've gotten very comfortable with email. And now text, we've gotten very comfortable with text. I have found that I like to pick up the phone and hear somebody's voice, or do virtual if I can. That's the best we got right now when we can't meet in person. So some of those tools have come full circle again. And I've learned, I always knew the value of face-to-face and personal contact, but I've come to really appreciate that if you can't have that, at least if we can talk on the phone or maybe see each other on a screen. So that really has been hit home.
Well, also for me, I learned that it's more valuable for people's friendship and relationship.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a great way to say it. That's really what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
It's like I said earlier, we do business with people. We don't do business with companies. And so,
yeah, before I was so busy running around, but right now I'm kind of focused on some of the important people in my life and spend more time. And I think that's a pandemic in a positive way changed us in a good way. We more cherish what we have right now.
Yeah, and what we got going for us in Silicon Valley is, again, the land of entrepreneurs. So what's the new America going to look like? What's the new world going to look like? You know who's going to decide that? Us, right here in Silicon Valley.
Wow, it's great. Since we're in Silicon Valley, so what is innovation by your definition, if it's in one or two sentences?
Innovation is deciding what people need and help them have an easier and better life tomorrow, or in business, to be better at business tomorrow than they were today. That's what innovation is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.